welcome to the Life and Listings podcast. I have our very own stats team member, Clarissa, here. Hey, Clarissa.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for joining us. For those of the people that are listening that have not had the pleasure of meeting Clarissa yet, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, all the good things.
Yeah, so I'm Clarissa McNeill. I am the marketing lead here at Stats Solutions and been with Stats for almost 4 years now, which is really exciting and kind of crazy. But yeah, outside of the remote world that I live in a lot of the time, I have an almost 1-year-old. She's coming up on 1 year in June. We'll have her first birthday, so that's been a fun and exciting adventure. I am a dog mom, 2 dogs, complete opposites. A Great Dane makes an English Bulldog, so there you go. Picture that as you may. It's accurate. And outside of that, I am a musician, so that's what I did as a career for a long time. I was a church musician, a worship leader for a long time, if you're familiar with that world. So yeah, I still love to do music. I do a lot of that still kind of just on my own time, but I love being in the real estate industry. Been really fun just getting to learn about it and working with so many diverse brokerages and broker owners and agents all across the US and Canada. So that's been really fun. But yeah, I'm a creative person. So I think I kind of accidentally fell into marketing just as a creative, but I really love it.
And I have a question. Is your bulldog in the room?
No, she's not. Hear your snore. She will not make an appearance on this podcast.
So, but fun side note, Clarissa didn't really warn me, and like one day her bulldog was apparently snoring behind her, and I just hear these like scary noises, and I'm like, is everything okay, Clarissa? Because like something doesn't sound healthy behind you.
It's like either there's a creature in your house or a 45-year-old man snoring behind you. It's like, no, it's a dog.
100%. Now I'm aware that the first time I was like a little concerned the noise was coming from her or something. I wasn't really sure what I should expect.
Oh, no, unfortunately not. Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy. She's great. She's so that dog.
So today we kind of wanted to dig in a little bit. You know, I think at Stats, like we really try to simplify things to make it so we can actually make things actionable. And so one of the things Clarissa kind of wanted to dig into, Stats, we try to make things, you know, pretty simple and really actionable. So we really like kind of almost take apart people's like business plans and their marketing plan and try to make it as actionable as possible, whether we're the one that's doing it or their VA, whomever, and make it so things are actually happening, because that's where we find like a lot of times with marketing, it's just like things don't actually get done. So Clarissa wanted to share today just like making your branding and your marketing plan really simple. So let's dive right in.
Yeah, so I have found that just in my time working with real estate agents and broker owners, there really are 2 marketing buckets. Okay, so you've got your listing marketing or your buy-side marketing, which I think comes pretty naturally to most agents and brokers. The thing that I see people don't do as well is marketing their brokerage, marketing their team. And I think sometimes people think, oh, if we just slap the brokerage name or the team name on the listing marketing or the buy-side marketing, that's sufficient. And if you spend any time on any social media platform of any kind, you know that marketing your team or your brand online the bar has really been raised. And I think that can just be very intimidating for a lot of people because you do what you do best, right? Your focus is the clients. You know your properties, you know your areas, you're great at that, but maybe you're not naturally great at thinking about marketing yourself online because you didn't really have to do that previously. So I find that the brokerage team, the brand marketing is something that kind of suffers a little bit. And that's the piece that I like to make a little bit more simple and actionable versus I feel like the listing marketing, there's so much out there that you can do. So I feel like that's kind of covered, but I think it would be fun to dive a little bit further into what is like a simple strategy for your brand online. How do you approach that? What does that look like?
Yeah, because we all overthink it, right? I mean, that's really what happens. Like we see all these things and then we want to do all of these things and then we never do any of it.
Yeah, it's like shiny object syndrome. You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a great idea, and that's a great idea, and this person's going viral, and that reel's going viral, and I'm trying to go viral." And I just think that's like impossible, like these algorithms, human nature, those two things are really just hostile in some ways. They're just not as much of a rhythm as we think. And so things pop off and we don't really understand why, but they just do. But I think there is an actionable plan that every person, no matter their budget, no matter their experience, could start with.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit easier and more simple than people think.
Awesome. Exciting.
Yeah. So I really like to tap into a brokerage's relationships. So you guys as broker owners, as agents, like you've been in the business for any time, you've developed some kind of relationship with a vendor, a local business of some kind. You go to a favorite grocery store, right? You have a favorite restaurant. I always find that those are great partners to start with in marketing because they already have an audience. Any established business in your area, right, it's going to have an established audience. And if it feels intimidating to tap into your audience or you feel like you don't have a big audience, they're the key to help tap into their audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the best thing to do for anybody is to scroll through your phone, scroll through your Facebook or your Instagram. Who are those business owners that you have a real relationship with?
Yeah.
Or the restaurant that you really go to a lot, or the grocery store you really go to a lot, right? The person who does your closing, gifts or whatever, like just whoever that person is, whoever they are that come to mind, they're a great place to start when it comes to marketing your brokerage. So one of the things I like to invite people to do is to just pick a business, a local business at their disposal that they love, that they participated, and to invite those people to be a part of helping you create some marketing. And so that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's really simple. It's probably something like you go and you just ask for a couple minutes of their time. Maybe you take your phone and you do a little fun scan of the restaurant, right? Or you take pictures of you and your family at enjoying a meal at that place. And then inviting the restaurant owner to maybe give you a snippet, a 30-second video, a little bit about their place, how long they've been there, what they enjoy most about serving that local community. That's a 30-second clip that you can take while you're at lunch with, friends or your family or whoever.
Yeah.
And I think that 30-second clip, then you can use, there's so much AI out there, but you can use AI to create any kind of short form video. You can take pictures, use those pictures to create posts, and you can ask ChatGPT or any kind of AI service you want to create captions for you, to create the video for you, to piece all that together. And then now you've got, from one visit with one business, you've got a couple different pieces of content that you can play with.
Yeah.
The beauty of this strategy, though, is tagging the business, tagging the owner, and inviting them to share the content on their own platforms by sharing that post, sharing it via their business page or whatever. But that allows you to get exposure in front of their audience. And this is what all people in the online marketing world are doing, no matter what industry you're in. Yeah. Everyone's trying to tap into each other's audiences, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a really great place to just start. Build yourself a little bit of a library of content. Maybe you do that with 2 businesses. Like literally, it's that much. Start with 2, create enough content where you're just doing 1 post a week, right? 1 static post, that's just a photo, 1 reel, get those up. And just share for 1 piece of content per week and try that out for a month. Yeah. And then go back and look at the results. Look to see, is there activity? Is there any kind of engagement? Is there commenting? And the more that you kind of do this, you start to build a little bit of a content plan that's not so intimidating, right? You're not sitting there thinking of tips for homeowners. You're actually in the field. You're meeting people while you're out, you're building these relationships, and these local businesses, that's really giving you a lot of credibility with them, that you're wanting to share their business with your audience and vice versa. They'll return that favor 100%. Yeah. So I feel like doing something simple like that allows you to further that relationship, right? Make that relationship stronger, because that's what this business is. It's relationship building. Real estate is all about relationship building. So you've got that. You're building credibility. You're tapping into multiple audiences online, and you're doing it while you're living your life versus having to spend a whole day shooting content. Like, I think people can do that and you can grow into that, and that's great. But like, start small, start with the relationship you have, and then that in turn gets your brokerage marketing going, and you're doing more than just popping up every listing you have on the market. That tends to get old for people. And I think it's important to remember Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms were created for fun. They weren't created for business. They were created for fun. And so I think if you approach it that way, you remember that it is for fun, and creating content can become less of a struggle, and thinking through your brand becomes less of a struggle because you're just sharing your brand's relationships. You're just sharing things that you love.
I mean, that's my favorite thing, is that when I can actually start seeing things go out, because more often than not, I mean, when we're talking to clients, they're like, I'm just not consistent. I'm just not doing it. And that's really the biggest like hurdle, I guess, is that it's just not, they might do a couple things, but it doesn't feel natural. Or, you know, someone's telling them they need to do the dancing reels, right? Like, like me being like, I'm not going to do it. You can tell me to do this a million times. I'm not going to do the dancing reels. So it's something that's like more natural to them is so much easier. You're already at the park with the kids. You're already at the restaurant. You're already doing these things. How can you share that with your audience? And then hopefully they, you know, you tag them and they share it. So that, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, so that next level. So like, okay, we started posting once. Is there a rhyme or a reason? Are you kind of like telling people, yeah, you should be posting X amount of times per week? Or how are you backing into their social media schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I feel like this is a hot topic, so to speak. There's a lot of marketing, especially in the real estate space. Yeah, there's a lot of marketing gurus out there who will tell you, you need to post every single day, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I think it just depends on your strategy with social. Yeah. You know, I think 90%, that's a big number, that I would say 90% of brokerages and agents really just need to focus on maintaining their current audience and building an audience slowly. There are going to be the 10% that are like, I'm ready to just become, you know, number one on YouTube, number one here, number one there. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, go for it. That's great. I want to work with the 90% who are like, I'm terrified. You know, I want to work with those people, and I want them to learn to feel confident about what they're doing, because I think it's as simple as whatever you do, be consistent with it. I think the minimum is once a week, the minimum. Now, if you can post multiple times in that week, then that's great. Do I feel like in order for you to get anything from social media, you need to post 2 times a day or even 1 time a day? I would not subscribe to that. I don't think that's the best source, the best way to use your time as a broker or an agent. You've got way more important things to do than worrying about that. And of course, there are people like us. There are other services out there, you know, that can help you have consistency in the scheduling and where you could post every day. But I think more personal posts done once a week, a personal post meaning a post that you create or shows yourself enjoying your community, enjoying a business, enjoying whatever in your area. I think once a week, that actually goes a long way. When you do that once a week for 12 weeks in a row, you do that once a week for 6 weeks in a row, even 4 weeks in a row, you're going to begin to see some commenting, you're going to begin to see some engagement, you're going to see some improvement. And as you tag other businesses, you're going to see a little more exposure there and a little more exposure there. And I think that kind of strategy is a great way to say, hey, I'm present, I'm here. Google will pick that up. The algorithms will pick that up. You may not get a bajillion leads, but you're going to become more of a prominent figure in the space of your online community, like in your local area. And to me, that's the biggest win, is that you're showing your credibility that way.
100%. Because I think, you know, a lot of times when we're seeing people that need help, they're posting their listings and all that stuff, but people don't want to engage in that. Like after a couple times of seeing listings, they're like, okay, I get it. You're a realtor. Right. But like, where's the funny stuff? Where's the community focused stuff? Like, where are you at as a human being, or what is your culture all about? Like, are you showing about your brokerage or your team? I think that's when you start getting, you know, better interaction and better results. So I think, that's So important. And then AI too. I mean, everyone, that's like a buzzword right now. I feel like even saying AI, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to bring this up. But like, truly, if you're doing this yourself, you can tell ChatGPT, like, hey, I have XYZ piece of content. Can you help me write? And I just give it instructions like, can you help me write a carousel post that includes XYZ? Can you help me write copy for my reel and posting about this restaurant? And if that's where you get stuck, like, utilize that, right? Because like, I don't know, for me, I'm not a writer. So like, I need ChatGPT to at least give me the ideas and like the start. And then I can go back in and I can tweak it so it sounds more like me. And then you can tell ChatGPT too, like, I don't use emojis. Please don't include any. I use a lot of emojis. Well,
not any.
And then include all of them. Like, you can tell it and you can have it rewrite it so it sounds more like your brand in general. So I think this is super great. Okay, Clarissa, I'm going to pivot a little bit. What is your superpower? I feel like I know what it is, but what do you think your superpower is?
So it's probably already pretty obvious, but I am definitely a people person. I love to talk to people. I love to hear their stories, to ask questions. Jennifer knows this. On a recent trip, I was like, no matter what Uber we got in, I literally asked one question and the Uber driver would just, their whole life story.
It's my nightmare. It's literally my nightmare.
I'm having a blast. And Jennifer's like crouching in the back seat. Like, can I get into this back seat?
Okay. Not that I didn't want to hear their life story, but they got like really weird with it. Like they got like real deep, real quick. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, maybe that's Vegas. Shout out to Vegas.
Maybe that here it was. It was like people in Vegas telling us our life stories. And I'm like, I need to get out of this Uber right now.
Yeah, I guess that's my superpower. People love to talk to me. So
I do. I think that you just have a way of connecting with people for sure. And, you know, you really have a way of pulling things out of people, calming people down, making people just like, you know, comfortable. I think all the things you have a way with words, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of always been a little bit of a people person. I've always been an extrovert, which doesn't always mean you're a people person at the same time. But I think I find that I think that's helpful even in what I do, is like, that's a part of the marketing piece to me. That's really fun, is that, there's like a strategy and a formula we can use, right? Post once a week, you know, do the local thing, you know, whatever. But I do think there's something about getting to help a brand or a business share their story, their voice, their niche, you know? So I think that's a little bit why I kind of fell into marketing, you know, leaving being a musician for so long. And it was like, as a musician, the best musicians are storytellers. They're really good storytellers. And that's what I loved about music. And so coming into marketing, I feel that too. It's like, oh, we're telling their stories, and there's a lot more interesting things going on than just the properties that are being sold. There's the expertise, and why are you an expert in that area? You know, why are you in this community? What do you love about it so much? And I feel like that's been a really fun part of my job at Stats, and just being involved with real estate agents and brokers in general and in the marketing space. It's fun to get to learn more about them, understand their stories, and try to help them tell those online.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a fun piece.
Amazing. Well, Clarissa, this has been super fun having you on. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Clarissa, you can always just reach out on the Stat site. You can reach out on Instagram. If you reach out on Stat Solutions Instagram, it's probably going to make its way to Clarissa anyways. If you want to DM
I will
her.
see the DM. I will see it.
It'll probably be her. I probably have more anxiety about the red dot, so I'll probably see it first, but I'll for sure send it to Clarissa if you want to get in touch with her. She kind of comes to some of the conferences with us too, so she's always around. And, you know, thanks for joining us today. It's been super fun, kind of learning how to do marketing in a simple, actionable way.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.